Whenever Kevin Costner walked onto a movie set, he looked unshakable. The calm voice, the quiet confidence, the Hollywood hero everyone admired. But behind the fame and the fortune, he was carrying a heartbreak he never dared to reveal. Now, at 68 and newly divorced, Kevin is finally talking. And what he confessed has stunned fans and even blindsided Hollywood insiders. For the first time, he's revealing the one woman he never stopped loving, the one who truly broke his heart. Here's the twist. She's not the woman anyone expected. So who was she? And why is Kevin finally confessing now? Stay with us, because the truth will surprise you. But before understanding Kevin Costner's heartbreak, we need to understand the journey that shaped him. From the start, Kevin Costner's life looked nothing like Hollywood. Born on January 18, 1955 in Linwood, California, he grew up far from wealth or glamour. He was the youngest of 3 boys. His father, William Costner, worked honest jobs to support the family, while his mother, Sharon, stayed home to raise the children. They didn't have much, but they had stability, warmth, and love. Kevin's childhood was filled with constant moves. The family never stayed in one place for long, shifting through small towns like Compton and Ventura. He wasn't the tallest kid, or the fastest, or the one teachers singled out as exceptional. But he carried something else, something quiet. He liked to be alone, to write, to imagine. He scribbled poems, daydreamed, and built a private world where stories mattered. He didn't know it yet, but those small dreams were only the beginning of something much bigger. When he reached college, Kevin chose a practical path: business studies at California State University, Fullerton. It made sense, but it wasn't what he wanted. Numbers didn't move him. Stories did. Acting did. He didn't dare say it out loud, but the desire was already there, burning slowly. Then came the moment that changed everything. After graduation, Kevin boarded a small plane and happened to sit next to a man who worked in the film industry. Kevin confessed that he wanted to act. The man gave him simple but life-altering advice. Try. There was just one problem. Kevin had no money, no connections, and no roadmap. He worked wherever he could, on fishing boats, driving trucks, giving studio tours. At night, he took acting classes. He auditioned for roles that never made it to the screen. Nobody knew his name, but the quiet determination that lived inside him since childhood kept pushing him forward. Eventually, that persistence paid off. His first break was a tiny role in The Big Chill, playing a dead friend whose face didn't even appear in the final cut. But the director remembered him, and that memory opened the door to something bigger. In 1985, Kevin landed Silverado. His role as a wild, magnetic cowboy made audiences sit up and notice. Hollywood finally turned its head. Then, in 1987, came The Untouchables. Kevin played Elliot Ness alongside legends like Sean Connery and Robert De Niro. Despite the star power around him, he held his ground. He was calm, he was steady, he was believable. And just like that, Hollywood realized Kevin Costner wasn't just another actor, he was the real thing. After Silverado and The Untouchables put Kevin Costner on the map, 2 films pushed him into true stardom: Bull Durham in 1988 and Field of Dreams in 1989. Both were major hits, but they also revealed something deeper about him. In Field of Dreams, he played a simple man who hears a mysterious voice whisper through his cornfield, "If you build it, he will come." On paper, the story sounded strange, almost impossible. Yet Kevin brought such honesty, warmth, and quiet conviction to the role that audiences connected instantly. People didn't just watch his character, they believed him. Then came the gamble of a lifetime. In 1990, Kevin took on Dances with Wolves, not only starring in it, but directing it as well. The industry doubted him. The film was long, slow, reflective. It centered Native American characters with unusual respect and sincerity for its time. Many predicted it would flop. Kevin didn't listen. He trusted his vision, and that changed everything. Dances with Wolves became a phenomenon, winning 7 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director. Overnight, Kevin Costner became one of the most powerful and respected figures in Hollywood. But for him, the awards weren't what mattered most. What mattered was that he had followed his heart, the same quiet intuition he'd carried since childhood. Despite the fame, he was still the boy from small towns, the boy who wrote poems, who dreamed by the water, who believed stories could change people. And he was right. They had taken him all the way. But if his career was soaring, his love life told a very different story. Kevin Costner, the man behind the legend. On screen, he played the heroes people admired: cowboys, protectors, dreamers. For nearly 4 decades, he embodied strength, loyalty, and integrity. But those were movie roles. Real life was far more complicated. Behind the fame and the awards was a man struggling to understand love, loss, and the price of chasing your dreams. To uncover that story, we have to go back, not to Hollywood red carpets, but to a college campus in California. That's where everything truly began, with a young woman named Cindy Silva. It all began in 1975, long before the fame, the red carpets, or the Oscar speeches. Kevin Costner was just a young man with a dream and a girl he couldn't stop thinking about. Cindy Silva was everything he admired: smart, gentle, grounded, and beautiful in a way that made him want to be better. Kevin adored her so deeply that he later said she embodied everything he ever loved in a woman. When she agreed to date him, he could hardly believe his luck. They married in 1978, choosing each other long before Hollywood ever chose him. Those early years were tough. Kevin chased auditions and tiny acting jobs that barely paid, while Cindy worked tirelessly to keep their small family afloat. She believed in him with a conviction that Hollywood certainly didn't have yet. For a long time, it was Kevin and Cindy against the world. And then, the world noticed. The Untouchables, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams. Hit after hit, Kevin Costner became one of the biggest names in Hollywood. But fame, as it often does, brought temptation, pressure, and distance. The man who once held Cindy close suddenly found himself pulled into a life neither of them had prepared for. Rumors spread. Tension grew. And in 1994, after 16 years of marriage and 3 children, Annie, Lily, and Joe, Kevin and Cindy divorced. Cindy's settlement was $80 million, one of the biggest in Hollywood at the time. But the real cost was emotional. Kevin later admitted the divorce shook him to his core. He wasn't just questioning marriage, he was questioning himself. Behind the heroic characters he played, he felt like a man whose family had slipped through his fingers. After the split, Kevin's life unraveled in ways few outsiders realized. He was grieving the end of a marriage, but he was also grieving the version of himself he had lost along the way. His career stumbled, and his personal life felt like a series of wrong turns. He dated off and on throughout the mid-1990s, but nothing lasted. His short-lived relationship with Bridget Rooney brought the birth of his son Liam in 1996. But even fatherhood couldn't anchor him. Friends said Kevin seemed unsure of who he was anymore. Ben Affleck once joked that he and Matt Damon weren't sure Kevin even remembered working with them on Field of Dreams, a small comment that hinted at something deeper. Then came supermodel Elle Macpherson. They began dating in 1996, and everything moved quickly. Within months, they were living together. Kevin described her as smart, kind, and his equal, but just as fast as it began, it ended. Another heartbreak. Another reminder that he still couldn't recreate the simple, honest love he once had with Cindy. Friends noticed he never truly stopped thinking about her. Meanwhile, his career hit its lowest point. Waterworld bombed. The Postman was an even bigger disaster. The actor who once ruled Hollywood was suddenly a punchline. And with no steady home life to fall back on, the cracks became harder to hide. Kevin Costner, the man, not the movie hero, was falling apart. But then something unexpected happened. In 1998, Kevin Costner met Christine Baumgartner, a model and handbag designer 20 years younger than him, and for the first time in a long while it seemed like his heart had finally found steady ground again. Christine brought a new calm into his life. Friends said he looked lighter, happier, like a man who could finally imagine a future with someone. Still, the road wasn't smooth. They dated for 4 years, but in 2002, they broke up. The reason? Kevin admitted he was unsure about having more children, while Christine wanted a family. Their lives were headed in different directions. But love has its own timing. 2 years later, in 2004, the couple reunited, and this time, they didn't let go. They married in a beautiful ceremony at Kevin's sprawling ranch in Aspen, Colorado. Soon after, they welcomed 3 children, Caden, Hayes, and Grace. For nearly 2 decades, it looked like Kevin had finally found peace. In interviews, he often praised Christine, calling her his partner, his balance, the steady center of his life. But even with love at home, the old struggle returned. Kevin's career had risen again thanks to Yellowstone, and he was pouring his soul into his longtime dream project, Horizon. Suddenly, he was being pulled between work and family again, the same tension that once tore apart his first marriage. For Kevin, success and love always seemed tangled together. When one wobbled, the other slipped. Then came May 2023. After 18 years of marriage, Christine Baumgartner filed for divorce, shocking fans and the entire industry. What followed was messy and painfully public. Arguments over houses, finances, and custody flashed across headlines for months. It stunned many. Kevin and Christine had always appeared to be one of Hollywood's most private, grounded couples. People close to them said the biggest issue was time. Kevin was gone constantly, filming Yellowstone, directing Horizon, living on planes and sets. The distance between them quietly grew until it became a wall neither could climb over. Kevin didn't want the divorce. Those who knew him said he was devastated, willing to do almost anything to save the marriage. When he finally addressed it publicly, he kept his words brief. But the heartbreak was clear. Later that year, while promoting Horizon, fans noticed a change in him. He still smiled, still carried himself with that calm, steady air, but something quieter lingered beneath the surface. In interviews, he spoke more openly than ever about the cost of chasing dreams, the pain of losing balance, and the struggle to be both a committed father and a committed partner. He focused on his kids, showing up for them, listening to them, grounding himself in their lives. He said it was the only choice he had. And then, in the middle of that difficult season, Kevin revealed something no one saw coming. A small, quiet confession that changed the way people saw him forever. He was a man trying to heal after losing the love he thought would last forever. When Kevin Costner finally admitted he was heartbroken over a past relationship, people immediately wondered who he meant. Many assumed it was Cindy, his college sweetheart, but they were wrong. The woman he couldn't let go of was Christine. For nearly 20 years, Kevin and Christine Baumgartner built a quiet, grounded life far from Hollywood's chaos. They raised 3 children, created routines, and formed the kind of home Kevin often said mattered more to him than fame. So when Christine filed for divorce in 2023, Kevin's world stopped. There had been no public fights or dramatic signs, just a sudden end to the life he cherished. One day he had a partner, the next, he was alone. The divorce wasn't messy because Kevin wanted money or property. It was messy because he didn't want to let go. He wasn't ready to lose the years of love, the memories, or the sense of family he had fought so hard to build. Then came the twist that made the heartbreak even deeper. Just months after the divorce, Christine was seen with someone new, Josh Connor, a longtime family friend and neighbor. To Kevin, it felt like betrayal. An insider put it bluntly. He felt as though he'd been stabbed in the back. Trying to process the pain, Kevin, normally a private man, opened up during a CBS interview. He didn't blame anyone. He simply acknowledged how much it hurt and how difficult moving forward had become. He buried himself in work, directing Horizon, an American saga, a massive passion project. Yet even as the cameras rolled, he was still fighting to rebuild himself from the inside. Rumors later linked him to singer Jewel after they were spotted together, but Kevin quickly ended the speculation. They were friends, nothing more. His heart wasn't ready, but the story didn't end there. After his divorce from Christine Baumgartner, Kevin Costner found himself in a kind of heartbreak he hadn't expected. It wasn't something he could outrun by working harder or pretending he was fine. It was deeper, quiet, heavy, the kind that forces you to rethink everything you thought you understood about love. And in that silence, Kevin drifted back towards someone who had once known him better than anyone else. His first wife, Cindy Silva. They had shared college years, dreams, a home, 3 children, and a love he once believed would last forever. That life was long gone, but some connections never really disappear. Slowly, Kevin and Cindy began talking again, not romantically, but gently, like 2 people who still cared about each other's well-being. She listened, she offered advice, she reminded him of a time when life felt simple. It wasn't about rekindling anything. It was about finding comfort in someone familiar. And for Kevin, that was enough. But a part of him couldn't help wondering, could they ever find their way back to what they once were? The answer came quickly, no. Cindy had remarried, built a new life, and moved forward in a way he couldn't undo. Their bond remained, but the chapter was closed. Still, their renewed friendship helped him heal. Talking about their kids, sharing old memories, even laughing again, it all gave Kevin a sense of peace he hadn't felt in months. It wasn't a second chance at love. It was something quieter, acceptance. Now, at 68, Kevin knows he's not rushing into dating. He has wounds to mend, children to focus on, and a life he's rebuilding piece by piece. His future remains open. He hasn't closed the door on love, but for now he's choosing healing, family, and the work that inspires him. And slowly, the road ahead doesn't feel so heavy anymore. Kevin Costner's journey reminds us that even the strongest hearts can break, and even Hollywood legends must learn to heal one step at a time. He has loved deeply, lost painfully, and risen quietly, carrying the scars, the memories, and the hope that life can still surprise him. As he focuses on his children, his work, and rebuilding his sense of peace, one question remains. Will Kevin Costner ever find the kind of love he once believed in again? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think a new chapter of love is waiting for him, or will he continue walking this path alone? And if you enjoyed this deep dive into his story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next videos. See you next time.